Alright, we're back. Okay, so, you, aren't in Honolulu. You have a week to go. Is there anything in particular you want to do to prepare? I think you were discussing security.
Mm-hmm.
Want to get Ryan and his buddies.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to hire some mooks? Even if we just use them as cannon fodder.
I suppose if it does remain an Elysium situation, then human mooks would be particularly useful.
We can offer them up as dessert. You know.
Yes.
You could. Definitely could.
Or I could just fly in some prostitutes from home.
That's true.
That too.
I was like, just keep trying to cough.
Actually, that would probably be good, because that way we might be able to get a reason to kind of gauge people's levels of restraint and both ability to restrain themselves and desire to restrain themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can tell them, these are for, very light feeding to ensure that you are fully capable of waking up in the morning and not at risk of death. However, they are not to be severely injured or harmed.
And the hookers hear everything. They might always report back if anything, interesting is going on. We'll find out.
That's true. And if one doesn't report back, well then, I can take it as an offense against my gift.
Ooh, Candy can be in charge of knowing where each of them go.
So, I assume we're gonna want one overlooking the ocean? The meeting room?
I was going to have them in the Hawaii ballroom. It was a big
Okay,
one.
that overlooks the courtyard. Cool.
Yeah, overlooks the courtyard.
It's probably a bit big for what we need, but anyway.
Surprisingly, people aren't coming alone, basically. They are coming as a group,
No, I know.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I was just looking at the stuff and I'm like, okay, Hawaii Ballroom can, fit 180 people. And that's for, very much room. It can capacity fit for basically a banquet. It can fit 2,000 people.
Mm.
Right. But we're also going to need a backstage area for setting up the auction.
Mm-hmm.
And also the seating area and then the stage area for where the auction is actually being held.
So you will get a auction list. It seems that there is about 24 items that Cromwell was able to get together. Including your cup is on that list too.
Mm-hmm. It had to be.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so a couple of days will pass. I'm assuming you're just going to kind of hang around as some people begin to show up in town. It's about now that you get a final list of
Attendees.
I will... Let's name you... of course, there seems to be the following. That's definitely there. Federico De Pato is there. With group. Francisco De Polona. VtM is showing up. Durgasin. Alistair is going to be attending. Gregory Klaus, whoever the frick he is, he's there. Sebastian McDown and Walks the Earth will be together as a group. Larsa Ken and a group from the Kai Institute. Ryan is attending as the Samasa representative. With Great Lord Cockroach, but no one believes that he exists except for you guys. Helen is showing up. Horatio Ballard. Of course, Maria is not technically on the list. Beckett is on the list. Miss Wallenberg and Ellison are there. Nefertiti. Aristotle De Laurent is showing up. Sabu. Candy's with you. Stefan Lenore. William Wallenberg. Fangs. A man named Jay. He's a ghoul representing a vampire, it says. A man named Celestine is showing up. Grimgroth. A very familiar name is showing up.
Grimgroth.
Yep. He summoned a crocodilian on Dawn.
Oh, he doesn't like me.
Semiche.
No, Tremere.
Tremere, sorry.
Yeah.
Tremere.
The name Christine Reynolds is on the list. Someone named Vass. There are 2 Victors on the list.
Oh, no.
Orson Holden. Frank. Jonas Albrecht. Someone named Nerg, who goes by Nerg. Just as that.
N-U-R-G or N-E-R-G?
N-E-R-G. Detective Gerhold Leibner. Mark Stantz and group.
Is that Ray Stance's father?
Sure.
Well, we don't need to worry about him. He hunts ghosts.
Mr. Fisher and his group. Mr. McDowell and his group. Tally, Helena. A man named Juggler and his group. Kui Yalin. Quistamala. Mary and the Sisters. And Sylvan Ivanovich.
That name sounds familiar.
You probably haven't heard of Sylvan Ivanovich? So yes.
Oh, Sylvester.
Yes.
Got it.
So there are a bunch here that you probably don't know.
Okay.
There's one I'd really like to avoid. I can't remember if he knows what I look like.
Yes.
No. He tried to, brain melt me, and I ran away, and it was a whole thing.
Well,
like many of these are marked like a person and group, you know. There are a few individuals that have come along. So you know, yes.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Emil. I believe the time has come for your talents to shine. Who the fuck are some of these people?
Okay.
I've written them all down, I think.
I mean, you'd have a written list anyway, in character. So what can I find out about these people on the webs?
Okay, let's...
Some of who, like, do we have pictures of them?
You can get pictures of some of them as they're coming into the hotel if you use the hotel's security. There will be a few that won't show up on security.
Ah. Well, knowing which ones those are might be particularly useful.
I mean,
because I'm pretty much in charge of security in a way.
yeah.
You're Overwatch.
Stephen Lenore is not
Yeah.
going to show up, and the man named Tally is not going to show up. But you knew that Tally the Hound was showing up.
Where's Stephen Lenore?
Uh,
Oh, Lenoir.
Lenoir.
Got it.
Sorry, I keep saying that wrong. You'll identify Mr. de Padua. He'll come in very stealthily. You will be able to identify him using your skills. It's very hard to see him. He's kind of dressed up, like hooded up kind of thing, hidden up. And it's really a young, very Miss Moonseeker who seems to be getting the room for him.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty much sitting in front of camera,
You'll
like,
probably
in front
have the
a
two of
screen
them
camera.
with you to identify people. You'll see that Durgasin and Fidame will come in together. Lars will in fact come in with Helena and her group. So Lars will be around.
I hope you're taking notes on all of this because I'm not.
I am.
Okay.
Alistair is already in his place. Mr. Gregory Krause will come on his own. Mr. D. Polona will come in with the man named Tally and a few others and get a room. Sebastian McDown will come in with Walks the Earth. The two of them will get a room together. Technically, they'll get rooms next to each other just because they're friends, but, sharing a room, the businessman's not gonna go for that. Ryan will happily, run down and he'll meet his friends, and it's the rest of the Samasa you met before with a couple others.
Done up in a minivan.
They probably show up in, a rented minivan they got from the airport. Horatio will show up. Emil, you're very familiar with good old Horatio, with an entourage of about a dozen individuals.
Oh.
Maria's already here. A man that Ellison will show up, bringing a led by you kind of see him a little bit. You get a sight of him. Effectively, at this point in time, most of the staff of the hotel has been changed for the event. Mr. Cromwell has arranged for this place to be very open-ended. The hotel is actually booked for this time period. No normal guests are in here. A lot of stuff is arranged for this entire event.
So, Melita and Ellison showed up together. How many people were with them?
Just the two of them. Nefertiti will show up with two covered individuals and a large animal cage and two men. Two individuals that are kind of covered over so you can't really see them. A large cage with something moving in it. The man named Sabu will show up. Stephen Lenore will show up with a couple of individuals, as well as Wilhelm Waldberg. Fangs will show up on his own.
He actually showed up, though?
He actually showed up.
I mean, we saw him come in?
Yeah. This is like, it's the temporarily supernatural hotel. We're basically like probably Alistair arranged with the, people that are basically like servants and or ghouls that work for vampires to take control of the hotel after paying some really big people off.
I help.
I'm curious. Have we met with the Prince of Hawaii?
Probably not. I'll say when you came in, Alistair had informed you that he'd already talked with the prince and had arranged everything, so you didn't have to meet directly.
Okay. I just want to make sure that I'm like, that's probably something we should have been sure about.
Mm-hmm.
We probably would have.
Yes.
Fieldings probably had informed you that they had been arranging everything, that he had arrived a couple days ahead of time and was setting stuff up.
Cool.
An interesting individual with kind of like longer hair, a small pair of glasses will show up. I guess, what would you give me to check people that you might recognize?
It's not even recognize. It's like basically check names and basically do a whole bunch of searches for names and faces and see what I can come up with and various sites, even, try and get some deep websites and stuff like that and see where I can get people.
You'll probably be able to identify that man as... It will take you a little while, but you'll be able to identify him as Beckett. He will be showing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm going to try and get squared away who everybody is and get everybody and see if I can get everything.
You'll be able to probably compare like logins to see like what names are being put in.
Yeah, and it's less it's less if I get people and more how many I get before we start.
You will see, of course, a group from the Caine and his group show up.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, it helps that they know some of the people.
Yes.
Who do we recognize any of the people with him?
No.
So they're all different from the ones we've seen before.
Yes.
Okay.
Because that's the kind of stuff I'm looking into, is the people who we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Just to kind of see who's dangerous, who's
They're all dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're all dangerous, but how dangerous?
There's gonna be kind of like an older, I'd say like Arabian man will show up. He seems to be dressed in very simple clothes.
Did Horatio show up?
Yes.
Yes, you saw him show up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's just so many names going by.
Yes. If you compare the list of who's checking in, this is the man named Jay, who's supposed to be a ghoul working for a more powerful vampire. That's all you know. The vampire's remaining anonymous, and sent a ghoul in his place. He will check in. Grimgoth will show up with a...
I want to get the deets on Jay. Definitely.
You can't find anything on him.
No pictures, no security cameras.
Well, you get him on.
He flew in on.
You can get him on security camera.
What airline he flew? Like,
he flew in from the Middle East. He did fly in from the Middle East. It seems he came in from. He came out of Cairo. Where it originally came from, he went in from Cairo and then farther out, you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if he got a switch flight layover on purpose, I'm gonna do my best to track him down, see if he just basically tracking where he came from at the very least, because that will help.
You'll only find him from Cairo. That's the only place you'll find him from directly.
From there, he either did a lot of came in from somewhere else, or
he could have been from Cairo, or he could have been from somewhere else. You're not sure. Middle East screams Assamite.
Yeah.
But they're not the only group that does have stake there. They're just the main group.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm just trying to get as much information as I can on everybody.
Yeah.
Especially the ones who we know very little about, just to...
the
more... you never know.
Grimgoth will show up. Of course, the Tremere Lord, looking like you see him like walking with a walking cane. A very nice looking cane. He will be accompanied by a small group of people. There's going to be a man in like a very nice kind of fancy feathered hat that'll be with him that will seem to be checking on his own. Through more vampiric connections, you can identify him. He has Celestine. He is a renowned Tremere also.
Celestine?
Celestine.
So this is something I probably would have done, but I remember I had that one contact with that person from the...
There's that spell.
What was his name?
I should put some of these spellings, but you know.
I'm curious, does Christine show up with someone, or does she show up on her own?
She shows up with a couple of individuals that you do not recognize.
So... yeah, the guy, the Nosferatu who had us deliver the package to Nefertiti.
Yes.
The guy. I would have tried to make contact with that guy and see if I could send information to him to get information from the Nosferatu.
Yeah, he
underweb.
probably would help you. That was,
Yeah.
I think that was Fangs, wasn't it?
Something like that.
Fangs is Nosferatu, as are Melita and Ellison?
Yes.
It was Fangs. It was the guy from New York.
Okay, that's Fangs, yep.
Yeah. So
There'll be a very large trench-coated man who will be accompanied by a very tiny, like a little girl with like a teddy bear.
Oh.
because I basically gosh. But yeah, I'd probably just send
think
Fangs
like
info and see
a
if he
big
could get
guy
anything on people.
like Mr. X, or like, you know, like that kind of big from like Resident Evil 2. You know, big guy. He's got like a trench coat and a hat. You know, he's got this
like Nemesis.
Yes.
Gosh.
And so he's got this like little girl with him with a teddy bear.
And who are they?
That's just Vass. Is it just identified as?
Okay.
You can find nothing on that man either. Nothing shows up for him.
Also,
There'll be a man like in like incredible outfit that's like now like looks like it's covered in diamonds and gold and stuff, and he's gonna be walking with a cane, and you recognize him. It's Yeezy Faux Show.
Oh my god, no!
Wow.
No!
Mm-hmm.
This man should be dead. We framed him.
Mm-hmm.
This is Candy's ex-pimp.
You can hear Yeezy Faux Show. Newly awakened mage is here in the house. Them vamps came for me, and I found the magic deep in my soul.
Oh my god, he's so fucking great!
I don't know who this is, but this is hilarious.
He's a pimp from London that they framed for a bunch of stuff.
We framed him for a lot of robbery and fire, stealing ambulances, and he's also Candy's ex-pimp, and we stole candy from him.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, I'd probably like, I just come to you guys like, hey, who's this guy?
That's Frank.
Right.
My eyes are watering.
Yeah.
A large kind of man in like looks like lots of furs and stuff, like it looks like almost like a wolf skin kind of draped over him. With a kind of like I want to call it like a brimmed hat will kind of walk in.
Is that Albrecht?
No.
Mm.
He will be identified as Victor Stantnik.
Oh, great.
You only saw this man as a horrible monstrosity.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, now we have matching coats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the abomination.
Victor and his mercenary friends will show up.
Oh, I don't like them.
Orson Holden and a group of anarchs will show up. That Mokale, whose name I can never remember, shows up. Dragon dude.
I don't know. Just based on your guys' reactions, I feel like we're all going to die.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably.
In fairness, several of these people probably don't want us dead.
An older man with kind of white hair, missing an eye, where you can see that there's like slash scars across where his eye would be, wearing this kind of like very simple like headband, almost kind of crown. Kind of like walks in. You notice that like he does have like somewhat like nice suit on. It looks as though like he really wouldn't normally dress in a suit. There's a younger man with him and a very buff Hispanic-looking woman that seem to be accompanying him.
Do love buff women.
Mm-hmm.
Can we figure out who they are?
That is Jonas Albrecht.
Ah.
And his... You will be able to identify the other individuals as they are not Silverfangs. They are well-known packmates that he has, that he only calls on when things are pretty dangerous. Maria Cabra, basically described as basically an urban Amazon.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. She's an elder of the Black Furies, and Evan, who is a Wendigo.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Wendigo.
Yes, the Wendigo tribe.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
We got some more coming in then. There's a man with a kind of like very long kind of braided hair, a kind of wicked looking beard, kind of dressed in a suit, who is will come in. He will sign as Nerg.
Did you already sign in?
No, Nerg did not sign in.
How did you describe that guy again?
He's got kind of long braided hair in the back, like a very sharp jet black business suit, large beard, kind of red tinted like glasses. Walks with this cane, with this kind of look fiendish looking figure at the top, or kind of maybe gargoyle-ish figure. You could give me... What?
A cult?
I can do
Dawn?
cult.
You could try rolling a cult intelligence. I'd say difficulty 9.
Oh, okay. Let's see how terribly this goes.
Can I attempt as well?
Sure.
Or would I have no idea?
You probably
Okay.
don't know, but you could try it.
Oh, I know nothing.
Dawn-
I forgot things.
Dawn thinks he looks pretty, like, fearsome. Maybe he's some kind of ancient Mesopotamian warrior.
Yeah.
I know nothing.
Also
He
wonder if
looks like one of those kings of Babylon that you saw in, like, old statues.
I only have one less dice than Dawn. For
With his hair. Like, just looking at his hair, that's what makes you think of it.
Yeah, I just
Nathan, are you
saw-
trying at all, or?
I can bump my intelligence soon.
Sure. Why not? Why not?
You literally probably can't do worse than Dawn.
Nope.
What is it, 9 you said?
9. Oh,
Holy shit baskets.
okay.
What the fuck?
5, -2, 4, 0, 3,
Um,
1.
It's an old story that you heard when you talked with some older vampires in New York. You'd heard tales of some of the clans and bloodlines, some of the more unusual ones. And his description matches to a degree a man named Nurgle. It would be very unusual if this was Nurgle, but he's the closest thing that he comes to mind. Nurgle was said to be one of the founders of the Bali clan.
Calls that
Huh.
kid Nurgle.
Great. Well, that's not upsetting in the least.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
German man, Detective Gerhard Leibner comes in. He seems like an older man. You're not sure why he's here. Just, if you would ask Cromwell, he said he had credentials.
Huh. Okay.
Looking into him, he's a private detective from oh god, Munich? Munich. That's the city.
Okay.
That's all you know about him, though. A familiar-looking man that you guys haven't seen in quite a while, with a couple of his friends, will show up and sign in as Mark Stantz. It's the Hunters.
Did I not kill all of them? Fuck.
You attempted to murder them, but then you escaped.
I did pretty good at all.
They were pretty beat up.
Yeah. Just kind of left them.
Were the hunters from...
Dracula's castle.
From Dracula's
Yeah.
castle. Yep. A Mr. Fisher will show up. You will be able to easily find out he is a member of the Pentex Corporation.
Okay.
From associations, probably not in the part of the Pentex that's directly connected with Kai. Large corporation. The Mr. McDowell will show up dressed in a stark white business suit.
I like this gentleman's style.
He's gonna spill something on it. Or someone.
Yes, but I'm guessing that the people coming here would just put on the next suit.
Yeah.
Just like when my cape gets ripped or taken off or used for various purposes, I just go and get another one.
You don't just wash him?
He's
Well, I mean, if
accompanied
it's
by a number of men in black suits. Let's see here. The woman Helena shows up, the Toreador you heard about.
Mm-hmm.
These three kind of tough-looking individuals. Emil, just roll me a straight, like, well, actually, no, it could be, you can roll this one. It would be... Intelligence, yeah, intelligence Academics? Sure.
Okay.
I'll just have it tell me it's academics. You know, I don't know a better role.
I don't know what it is, so I can't give you better suggestions. Difficulty?
Just 6. Okay.
Dang.
Yeah.
I mean, it bounces out to 0, but...
Yeah. The group, one of them will identify as Juggler. The one that signs in.
It's a circus.
An Asian-looking woman, accompanied by a number of men, will sign in as Kui Yaling. There will be a kind of a woman of mixed descent. Looks like maybe like African and European, or maybe African and like Hispanic. It's hard to tell which one it is. Will be accompanied by a man in a black suit, wearing a kind of small black hat. She will sign in as, I will butcher this, Quistamala. A group of women dressed as nuns will show up.
I'm into it.
There'll be 5 of them, led by a woman named Mary, who'll sign in for them. And finally, a kind of looks like a tough-looking woman named Sylvan Ivanovich will show up. She'll be wearing kind of like dark, like pantsuit. And accompanied by 2 more men in like who look like workers. That's the final groups to show up.
Did Fido
So I'm just completely lost, because it's just a lot of names with no relation to who they might be.
Yeah, so I've got a few guesses. So Jay was the Arabian guy.
Yeah.
And we've learned from our research that Jibal, starting with a J, was the first ghoul. So that maybe. Vaz could be Vasilisa, who is the person who killed Baba Yaga, or who ostensibly killed Baba Yaga.
Give me an occult intelligence on that for a second.
I'm doing it too.
Also high difficulty again.
So
9
again?
Yeah, 9. You did hear something, though, before. That might help you on that one. Okay, Dawn.
Yes.
You remember Victor mentioned something. Victor mentioned that Vasilisa came in the form of a little girl.
Oh yeah. Fucking creepy child vampires.
And you remember that the person that signed in as Vass was accompanied by a little girl.
Oh, I knew that little girl was suspicious.
Yep.
Oh, of course, it's a vampire game with a little girl in it. It's like
she's the
horror
most
movie
powerful
101.
evil.
Yep. Okay.
You know, I'm just now imagining playing a mortal game where you're just like the one mortal people in this hotel.
Yeezy Fo Show! Major in the house! I'm here at the auction! Gonna see some old friends!
Is Frank Cromwell's new friend?
No.
Thank God.
He's the student of Cromwell's old friend.
Oh no.
That
man has terrible taste.
That's fine.
So those people that you had me roll for, what did they say they logged in with again?
Which?
It was
Oh, the ones you said.
people who had me.
Mr. Juggler.
Juggler.
If you look into it, you will find out that Juggler and his two friends, I'll say you'll be able to eventually look into it. You've got a couple days here of looking into it, and it shouldn't be too difficult. They're a group of anarchs from Chicago.
Yeah.
They, in fact, had a... one of them is Mal Davis, who is famous for almost overthrowing Horatio Ballard.
Oh.
Oh. And that was Juggler?
Juggler, Juggler is like a neutral party in the entire thing. He is an anarch, but he has a lot of friends. So most likely, he actually has some friends within Horatio's court, basically. Juggler's like an anarch who knows how to play the game. Mal Davis is and her constant companion is Dickie. The two of them came with Juggler. So most likely there's some faction within the Anarchs in that area that sent all three of them. Mal Davis is protected by the Anarchs, so though she attempted an overthrow, has managed to survive.
Yeah. Better suggestion, even though academics is better for me. Might have been politics.
Politics! Yes, that would have been good. But normally that's human politics, so that's kind of an unusual one.
Not necessarily. I just view it as political systems in general.
I should have done the background, the vampire background. Is it status? Maybe that would have been. Or there's like a politics one. You know,
Influence.
Influence. I could have done one of those. Realizing something, because it hasn't come up today yet. I know, book open.
Oh, yeah, I don't have my book open either.
I have mine open.
I just was forgetful.
It's not really. It hasn't been necessary yet. Generally, it's more for looking into powers and stuff.
You haven't needed powers yet.
Gosh, why would we need them? It's Elysium. Everybody's gonna be fine.
What if a crocodile tries to eat me again?
Well, you know, crocodiles technically might not be involved in Elysium if it just shows up randomly.
God damn it.
Is there any other ones of the list that you want me to, do you want to specifically try to look into that is left?
Let's see.
Well, you're not sure who's backing Christine at this point in time. Last time you left her with the Anarchs.
Yeah.
But someone seems to be backing her and has her there. Frank seems to be there because, you know, his master is, you know, setting up magics.
Yep,
and he came
probably
along.
gonna teach him.
Mm-hmm. He's gonna teach me the magics! Frank's in the hizzy! He's got his magic pimp staff now.
Great.
If we turn Candy, we could just, like, let her read him. You know?
I mean, he's a mage, though, so I'm not sure that would entirely work.
I mean, he's an idiot. Candy puts her tits in his face, he's not gonna know what happened.
That's potentially true.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I like how Dawn has just inherited all of Nathan's grudges and then tenfolded them.
Yeah. You know, it does bring a little, what's the word? It's not warmth, but less coldness to my heart.
Ah, that's good.
My solid, completely unbeating heart.
Yeah. I miss the times when it needs to beat a little, you know, it's kind of comforting. At night now, there's just like, well, day.
You-
Just silence.
Yeah, you didn't know me still. Anyway.
No, but I mean in general for mine too, you know?
Ah, gotcha. I'm kind of interested in learning more about Detective Gerhold Liebner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit more interested in Mr. McDowell.
Mm-hmm.
Kui Yaling
Yep.
and Quistamala. And Sylvan. And who's backing Christine?
Yep. You don't want to learn about Mary and the nuns?
You know,
He's very into Mary and the nuns.
I would like to learn more, but I feel like somehow that part's gonna explain itself at some point.
It's either a kink thing or they might actually be religious, and I'm hoping it's the first one.
Let's see.
Mary and the Nuns, is that anything like Benny and the Jets?
It could be.
I don't know why, but that's...
nuns.
Dun, 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 dun. Down, bow, bow.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess another thing I can, we might be able to do is try and find, I mean, any of the people in our friends list and ask if they know anything about these people.
Ah, yes, you could go talk to some folks. Who do you want to talk to? About who?
Well, I think that Dawn should probably go and talk to Dracula and, or, I'm sorry, Mr. Cromwell and his wives, just to get a little bit of the, what's the word? Gossip.
He makes me nervous. Yeah, make sure I have a list. I'm gonna forget all of them.
I will gladly provide you a list.
Okay.
Also ask Helena.
Yo. I will take care of that part.
Okay.
I mean, who likes you here? You should ask them.
Well, I know who doesn't like Emil.
Yeah.
I mean... I don't have, like, I have one enemy and, like, no specific friends. Although, I guess, in a way, they're, with those people that he had me roll for, Juggler, in a way, he's a enemy of my enemy.
Maybe.
But
You could just go
that's
with
about
me.
as close as I think I can get.
Well, you could also go talk
Although
to
I'd rather
Federico.
probably just stay out of both their ways.
You could go and talk to Federico, because you actually did meet him.
Yeah. He doesn't hate us.
True.
And you could also potentially talk to him about any thoughts he might have for a more private encounter with Francisco.
Mm-hmm. Frederico's companion did like me.
Mm-hmm.
What was her name? The wolf or the fox lady?
Tamalapache Moonseeker.
Tammy.
Tammy.
Yeah.
Good old Tammy.
Yeah.
So we have Nathan going to Alistair. Dawn going to Alistair and Lucy. Nathan's going to Helena, Panard, and Emil
I'm going
is
to
going
Federico.
to Federico. So why don't we take our second break here, because it's about a second hour in, and then we'll do these 3 encounters, and we'll see if you can learn more about these other people that may or may not be dangerous to you.
They're definitely dangerous to us.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. I just found some nice new people to add to your list of people to be friends. Friends!
This is friend.
Thanks, Tantus.
Anyway, we'll be back in a little bit and, learn more about some friends for the auction. So if you need a snack, drink, bathroom, go ahead and do it.